noticed, and that is this show out called Strange Angel. Perfect idea for a show. For years I've been saying to myself there should be a movie or a show about not only this guy, but Manly P. Hall. I've actually mentioned it to Corey Nemec that he would be perfect playing Manly P. Hall because he's also a Manly P. Hall fan, and he's tall, slender, good looking. It would be a perfect mixture. But anyway, Strange Angel is a show about Jack Parsons. Now Jack Parsons, believe it or not, was a rocket scientist, and he was the best one America ever had, one of the first. And he was actually working around with Werner Braun. I always have a hard time saying his name, Werner von Braun, who was one of the 100 Nazi scientists that was given 100% freedom, brought over by the Americans and by our government, and given a very lucrative job developing rocket ships and aerospace engineering and stuff like that. So they were all black occultists. They worshipped the black sun. Werner and his whole entire crew were part of the SS, and they were really into all of that stuff. So it's not surprising that Jack Parsons, a young upstart American dude that was hanging out with all these older former Nazi German occultists on the DL, would also eventually take an interest in occultism. Now Jack Parsons was a genius, and he had a strange group of friends. One of them would grow up to be L. Ron Hubbard of Scientology fame, and Aleister Crowley was one of his idols and teachers. Jack Parsons became a Thelemite of Aleister Crowley's religion called Thelema, which was basically a sex magic. Some people say satanic, some people say not, but it was, I've read a lot about it. I wouldn't really say it's 100% demonic in any way. That's just the way things are made out to be. But it was three stages. Oral sex being one level. Second grade would be vaginal sex, and then the third would be anal sex. And I believe the higher the grade, if it would be male on male. So yeah, Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard became partners in this sex magic. And they got their hands on a secret, very secret spell called the Babylon Working, which years ago Crowley had done. And it's very interesting. You guys can look this up. There was a being that Crowley had befriended and made contact with that he wasn't sure if it was from another planet or another dimension. But his name was Lamb. Now this was, I believe, in 1911, 1910, 1911, like that. And Crowley drew him. And he looked so 100% like our gray aliens do now, with the really big heads and the little eyes. So it's pretty funny that Crowley would have drawn that in 1911. Now, while they were doing these workings, let's not forget, I just want to fast forward a little bit. At the end of Scientology, the upper grades, it also goes to show that L. Ron Hubbard was teaching that this whole world, this whole planet was, even us, were created by aliens. He probably wasn't talking about the Anunnaki, which a lot of people, including myself, believe had a lot to do with us coming from pretty much an ape-like species, not too bright, to having a switch turned on in the back of our neck and getting enlightenment and becoming an intelligent race of being. We don't really fit in with this country, with this planet. I mean, we get sunburns, molar teeth. We can't bite through animal skin. There's things in our nature because, I personally believe that we are just genetically engineered by the Anunnaki, but now I'm just going off. But anyway, Parsons also believed that, as did L. Ron Hubbard. And L. Ron Hubbard taught that 6 million years ago, people from whatever planet he believes were stored in volcanoes. And they're waiting there for a certain period of time. But anyway, what gave these guys these ideas is that they also did the Babylon working and made contact with beings like Crowley did. And right after that, I mean literally right after that, and in the same exact location that they were doing these workings, Roswell, New Mexico, the 1947 crash happened. Now that crash also goes along a line, like they say the old Egyptian pyramids go, an earth grid of ancient electric that the planet just actually has. Like supposedly if we could tap into the source, we have free energy forever. And not only that, ever since the beginning of history, even with the ancient Egyptians and Greeks and what Hitler and them were studying along these same lines, is where all of the modern UFO sightings are. They say that if you take a map and you turn the Earth from a round map into a flat map, into flat Earth, and you connect all the dots, they pretty much connect interchangeably like a wormhole with the the Roswell crash and every other supposedly dropped UFO sighting in history. So that was Jack Parsons, and that was I get so confused. There's just so much shit. Yeah, Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard, and against the advice of Crowley. Crowley didn't think that either one of them were ready, and he also didn't want this thing to be reopened. But supposedly, once they opened this, they didn't close it. They didn't know how to close it, and that's why a lot of crazy things started happening. But also, right around that time, we started to be really working with what appears to be extra alien technologies, and that's why if you've gone 50-year intervals from like 1700 to 1750, the world was pretty much the same. 1800 to 1850, same thing. But from 1950 to 2000, we went from sitting around at the drive-thru eating hamburgers to going on the internet, talking on cell phones and everything else. Parsons not only discovered how to make the rocket ship, and did we get, the atomic bomb, we also reverse engineered alien technologies, or flat out have been given alien technologies. So what this show Sacred Angel is about is not only Jack Parsons' life as I guess you would call him an astronaut or a rocket ship developer, also his black magic. And homeboy, a lot of people, I have to say everybody in the occult, you end up dead, you end up broke. And that's like that with everybody. John D. ended up broke, at the end of his life, had a bad ending. Edward Kelly, Aleister Crowley, Anton LaVey, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Even some people would say Jesus and those guys were occultists. They also were all sacrificed, died young, died terribly. Mr. Parsons, the same thing. He blew himself up, I believe. Manly P. Hall was murdered brutally in his house at 89 years of age. There's just, it connects into, you get the knowledge and maybe you could get some benefits in life, but you also pay the price of a horrible ending in life. But that doesn't really matter too much, because then it's believed that you go into a beautiful afterlife where if there is reincarnation, you don't have to reincarnate through Earth again. You get to go through the next phase of your life. So just a little bit of, it sounds like babbling, but you got to put so much of this together. Jack Parsons, aliens, the Anunnaki, L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology, Lamb, Aleister Crowley, sex magic, and the list goes on and on and on. But this show, Strange Angel, says that they're going to need about 5 seasons to tell this whole story. I'll have to agree with that. Now, if they're going to get 5 seasons, who knows? But there's a lot of reading involved in this, and it just keeps on getting more and more intriguing as because once you read about L. Ron Hubbard, you're going to want to read Dianetics. Once you learn about Crowley, you're going to want to read some of his books, because the shit is really interesting, whether you do it as a fan or a student or whatever. But anyway, everything I'm saying is true as far as it's happened, and it was theoretically stated, and he blew himself up. There was Scientology, but if everything else is true, like the magic and the alien stuff, that's to be proven. But anyway, Strange Angel, check it out. Check all these stories out and see what you guys think. All right, thank you. Bye.